One of the biggest lessons I learned as a kid, the kinder I was, the more I got bullied. The more I didn't want to hurt anyone else's feelings, the more I lost myself. The more people that called themselves my friends or family, the more I became nothing. Nothing more than an empty display of a pretty face, a ballerina in a box that danced at the command of their whimper, a toy just to keep others entertained. But the cost behind that pretty, careless party facade? It cost me everything. It cost me so much pain and hurt. It cost me how to be human. Hi, welcome to the Nyx Frequency. Welcome back to the Nyx Frequency. As you noticed, if you've listened to my last upload, I saw 111 on the timer. Thank you for the confirmation. But if you've listened to my last video called You Gave Everything But It Still Wasn't Enough, then you noticed, maybe you've noticed, that I can be a bit fierce, passionate and direct in my way of being. Before you think this is some form of apology or me making myself smaller again, no. I am very authentic and intentional in the way I live, so I stand behind every word I said. Not as a weapon, not as a shield, just as a different point of view. And yeah, I am a walking contradiction. I tend to love raw with intensity, and intensity is often a very direct force. That's honestly one of my life lessons that I have to learn. And it's something that I've been aware of and mastering for 19 years, perhaps even longer. I know that my way of talking, that's my way of phrasing words, can come across as arrogant, maybe even condescending. Like I know everything better, or that I feel like I am above you. And while it sometimes makes me laugh, it's also at the same time one of the biggest misconceptions about me. After posting my last video, in which I talked about the Matrix, I found myself doubting. Not because I didn't stand behind my words, but because I found myself explaining that video. My toxic trait to myself is that I am hyper aware and conscious about everything I do. When I'm acting from a low frequency, I tend to overanalyze and overthink things. One of the biggest traps that comes with that is that I have a tendency to rationalize everything. For me to create any oversight, I need to talk about it. So I found myself over explaining what I posted, and I didn't like that feeling. It's something that I sometimes do when things aren't in alignment. So, when I caught myself doing that, staying in that same low vibrational loop, I listened to that. Let me take you on a personal journey, a little deep dive in my mind. Buckle up, please, because I can promise you this is gonna hit something. Maybe because I've learned it the hard way. I once was a child who didn't know what being safe in my surroundings meant. I used to be a girl who got forearms raised against her skull if she dared to speak up. I used to be a child that didn't feel safe enough because of all of the predators lurking in the dark. I used to be a child that got ridiculed for being different than others. I used to be the child sitting alone. I once was the child that wasn't important enough, who didn't matter enough to be protected. And I see 0555 at the timer. Thank you again for the confirmation. My words are sharp and laced with poison for the people who need it. Know this: I speak no blame, I speak no judgment, and I am definitely not here to judge anyone in this space. That just isn't what I am here for. I am just the one who chooses to voice her truth. When I was a child, it were grown-ups who broke me and ripped every sense of my being to shreds. When I was a teenager, again, it were the grown-ups who failed to protect me. And I'll be damned if I, as an adult, as a grown-up who got as a kid every inch of the whip, as a healed grown-up who still cries for every baby out here in the world that has hunger, gets beaten, abandoned, abused. For every single little soul out there who knows the weight of being and grown up way too soon, I've experienced enough to know how it works. And let me set this straight here before people come for my neck. Yes, I do appreciate the sacrifices. We do appreciate the sacrifices. I see what you gave up in order for us to grow up and live our best lives. However, one hand washes the other clean. I am not here minimizing the sacrifices that my ancestors made, but speaking as someone who once was a child, I will be damned if I knowingly keep closing my eyes to the hurt, the tears, and the cries of a child in pain. I can't just keep my mouth shut to keep others comfortable. That is a version of me that I shed a long time ago. I have a lot of difficulty with chit-chatting. I rather know someone on a level that matters to me. And back then, all my connections were empty. They were backless and boneless. Some weren't, but they eventually also turned sour. If one rotten piece touches the rest, the good ones will follow. As a child, I knew the ache of hunger, the pain from betrayal, the fear of silence, and the fear of hearing my own voice. In my teenage years, I learned how to run away in love, sex, drugs, alcohol, relationships. I learned how to give everything I had, and stood for away, just to be consumed by men who refused to look in their own broken mirror, by men who told me I was pretty, but always demanded me to change. And stupid me, because this is what I did as a child, as a teenager, as someone who was called crazy, as someone who got shamed because of the shame that she carried, laced by enablers, caused by the adults who were meant to keep me safe. My eyes are seeing a lot of different colors. For me, almost nothing is black and white. I love the colors from every wound, and I am amazed by the shades that come out of that. That is the frequency I speak from. I don't speak to be liked, not to be understood by everyone, but because I didn't find my voice to make it smaller again. I speak because silence didn't save me. I speak because somewhere out there is still a child who needs someone not to stay silent. So, yeah, this is the Nyx Frequency. Raw, unfiltered, and not here to be digested softly. Thank you so very much for listening to another episode of the Nyx Frequency. If you like my content, if you're a like-minded thinker like me, please subscribe on my channel. It will really help me grow. It will really give me also the energy that I need to tap into in order to make this content, because I am tuning into the frequency of our frequency, basically. Let me know in the comments. You know what? I see 1313. I'm going to end this. The only thing that I ask of you is to please stay true to yourself, stay true to your own frequency, and to please subscribe and share if that's something that you would like to do. Like this also. And if you feel called to say something, anything, you're welcome to share it. I love to read all of your messages. This was Nyx. Again, thank you for listening to the Nyx Frequency. For all my listeners out there, stay safe, stay unharmed, stay truthful, and stay wise. I love you all so very much. Remember, frequency is power. Bye.